Hello and welcome to the Joint Dota League Season 4 American Division 1-2 semifinals, I believe, in the lower bracket. This is going to be game 2 of a best of 3 series, between Leviathan and Thundercats. Leviathan 1 game away from being put in Division 1 next season around. As far as your casters are concerned, I'm Grandis V, and once again I'll be joined by Mike Loris.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's not
That's not
entirely
right.
true.
No, 1 game away from being in the finals of the lower bracket and a chance for being in Division 1.
I still don't know if that's true, but quite frankly, I have no idea what's going on with
Who
this
knows?
entire league. So I'm gonna assume that sounds more right,
Yeah.
at the very least. So Leviathan are getting pretty far, and of course, Thundercats, they have to win, those amount of games plus one if they want to actually go into Division One. But game one, we saw a good display of Juggernaut. We saw a really good display of Storm Spirit. And that is going to prompt the Thundercats to ban those two out. But Leviathan, Faceless Void, Vengeful Spirit, responded to by Lion Doom. Just saying, Pudge is still in the pool.
Yeah. And here's to hoping that we get to see Jenkins Pudge picked up by Leviathan. Although Thundercats do have an option to ban it out, Leviathan aren't going to first pick it this time around. It is definitely deserving of that respect for the Juggernaut and the Storm Spirit, but it's pretty scary. Those generally aren't the heroes, or at least the Storm Spirit isn't a hero that you see in that first ban slot very often. More than anything, Leviathan, their farming efficiency really has helped them win that game and get us advantage over Thundercats, even though in the early mid game, Thundercats were able to work around the split cooldown very effectively and take a lot of fights. It just doesn't feel like it was enough.
I think mostly because it was them, yeah, they won fights, but they didn't like absolutely destroy Leviathan in those fights. It was, when you take a couple fights here, you use the split for a Rubik kill, and if you do that one too many times, then all of a sudden you're going to have a lot of Rubik kills, but that's about it. So we'll see if Thundercats can pull anything different this game. Doom Lion is a reasonable way to start. Lots of crowd control effects, so they're not going to have to worry about a Storm Spirit or anything like that this game, or someone else with high mobility just running circles around them. Just doom them, and then that's usually going to solve itself. See Pudge, unfortunately, being banned out along with a Zeus. So Leviathan, they are maybe going to look towards a Witch Doctor, or maybe going to look towards some Chronosphere shenanigans in this game.
Yeah, we are unfortunately going to see the Pudge banned out by Thundercats in the second stage. Would have been nice for them to leave that in the pool because I'm pretty sure that Leviathan would have snagged it up.
Yeah, I mean, partly because they are really good at running it, partly because it's like expected of them at this point. You just got to do it. So, yeah, it's not a great hero versus Doom and Lion, fast disables that come out. And if you get doomed while you're rotted, that's just the saddest feeling in the world, man. It's terrible.
It is kind of a coin flip whether you actually get that deny off, though, so yeah, it is very annoying, but you can work around it, I suppose.
You work around it by crossing your fingers, and
Yes.
it's like, please, please, rot, do more damage this time.
Oh no.
It's not exactly the best answer, but yeah, it's irrelevant right now because Pudge is no longer in the pool. Anti-Mage is also going to be banned out this game. Leviathan with enough to answer the Anti-Mage, I think, so I don't think they should be too scared about it. But regardless, it's going to be not the Witch Doctor, Ancient Apparition, yet again for Leviathan. It worked out pretty darn well for Flying Zebra in the last game, and this game, it doesn't really make like a huge difference who Ancient Apparition is up against. He's usually going to get the job done, although he is weaker against mobility heroes that Thundercats currently do not have.
Yeah, and it's going to give them that damage to put into the Chronosphere, although it's not as explosive as the Witch Doctor, I want to say. If you are able to land an HF Personal Ice Blast onto 3 targets and then follow up with the Chronosphere, it's pretty much guaranteed that that's a one fight.
And we'll see if they can make that happen in this game. Thundercats, they have a couple of crowd control effects to throw the way of Leviathan to make sure that that doesn't happen. And hey, now with the Dazzle pickup, they're going to have some pretty reasonable chances at making sure that doesn't happen. Throw a Shallow Grave in there, and all of a sudden your kill potential is, for the moment at least, dropped to 0, unless we see an Axe pickup, which would be pretty sweet, but I don't really know if they want to go for that in this particular game. Regardless, Dazzle, Lion, it's a reasonable support duo for Thundercats. Can be played very defensively if they need to.
Yeah, or you can look for kills by enabling a hero, maybe like an axe for themselves, or just an aggressive carry that can find kills to run at the enemy team relentlessly. Well, for now, Leviathan are lacking a couple of cores, and ones that would be nice to have on their side, Queen of Pain, just anything to throw damage in Chronosphere, really.
And those heroes are usually pretty easy to find. You could grab a Queen of Pain who was banned last game. You could grab a Puck if you really want to. Troll Warlord, not exactly the hero that we were describing in the fact that he doesn't really throw that much damage towards the Chronosphere. There will be times when you'll be able to attack from a range into the Chronosphere, but being able to buff up the Faceless Void with additional attack speed is pretty insane. Hell, being able to buff up anyone with an on-hit effect with that battle trance is pretty sick. So Troll Warlord, Faceless Void, some nice synergy there, and it's a reasonable laner for Leviathan as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see if the Bashoids are going to be in their favor for the Faceless Void as well as the Troll. It's going to open up Roshan as well very heavily for Leviathan, and that Queen of Pain, although it's not on Leviathan's side, is going to be picked up. It's going to be for Thundercats.
Leviathan, they have Faceless Void, Vengeful Spirit stuns, which are more or less guaranteed to land on Queen of Pain, assuming assuming she doesn't see you coming. But outside of that, you gotta cross your fingers if you're Leviathan, hope for those bashes, and try to burst her down, as they're not really packing the most crowd control in this particular draft. Thundercats, they're going to be looking once again towards the late game to find a really hardcore carry, most likely, to combat up against Leviathan. Their early game damage is okay. However, it's mostly in the hands of Queen of Pain. So I think we might see a carry at the same level that we saw last game. Kind of liking Slark here for Thundercats. But
Spectre is going to be banned out by Leviathan.
okay, maybe not Slark actually. Ancient Apparition and Faceless Void is a little bit too much. But yeah, like going super late game is fine. But you're up against two Bashers, and that's hard to deal with.
Yeah, it is. Especially once they get the items to back it up with a little bit of extra attack speed on top of that. Faceless Void and Troll can make quick work of most late game carries. Axe is going to be banned out by Thundercats, and it would have fit decently well into the Leviathan's lineup, even though he wouldn't interact very well with the Chronosphere. Just having that dunk through the Dazzle Shallow Grave would be really annoying for TC.
Yeah, it's like no matter what you do, you will not be able to use that skill well, Dazzle, and that's kind of upsetting. Silencer to pick for Leviathan, a core silencer, it seems. A good hero versus Queen of Pain with that global silence, shut her down completely. Of course, Dazzle, Lion, both can get crippled by that as well. But Thundercats have more than enough tools to punish a really, really soft hero.
Yeah, once the Silencer's doomed, he's completely useless, and Queen of Pain, especially if an Orchid comes out from the co-op, is going to be able to jump onto the Silencer and assassinate him very quickly. We'll have to see how the positioning is going to work out for Leviathan, and if this pick pays off. The idea, I think, is okay. I think it's all down to the timing on Global Silence, as it usually is with that hero.
And that makes it so that it's hard to say if the hero is really going to do well, as you could have the most perfect situation for the silencer, but if you, for whatever reason, mess up and don't cast that global silence, then it's not really going to matter. If you get stunned a single time, if you get hexed first thing, it's all over. So silencer is always a little bit of a coin flip in that regard. He is maybe going to go into an offensive try line. How are these lanes going to work for Leviathan? I have a feeling it's going to be Troll Warlord mid, but are they going to put Faceless Void solo off lane? That is not that strong. Maybe a silencer offensive try line with Faceless Void up towards top.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty solid way to go about doing things. It's going to be a last pick Terrorblade for TC.
Well, the physical damage for Leviathan is pretty high, and Troll Warlord and Faceless Void. Silencer, Ancient Apparition, Venge don't have the most magical damage, so it's a reasonable pick, I think, for the Thundercats. But again, you're going to have to worry about bashing, and that's going to be a problem no matter what, I guess. But Terrorblade is going to really be in another coin flip situation. Maybe he gets his Thunder off. Maybe he gets bashed.
Yeah, it really does feel like it. Either way, I'll go ahead and introduce the Leviathan side. It's going to should be playing on the Silencer, potentially looking even towards the mid lane. Shredder going to be playing on the Troll, Faceless Void by Jenkins, flying Zebra on the Ancient Apparition, going to be followed as another support by Nusham.
And for the Thundercats on the Terrorblade, we have WWD heading down towards the bottom. Ryuza on the Lion once again, and Joik is going to be playing the Dazzle. Over in mid, it's going to be DK on the Queen of Pain. That leaves an off-lane Doom to be handled by Guanzo, and it looks like that should just be a pretty safe laning for the Thundercat side. You want to make sure your Terrorblade gets some protected farm. In an off-lane scenario for Terrorblade, it's not exactly what you want, and it seems like the respective tri-lanes are going to probably get equal amounts, that amount being close to 0.
Yeah, definitely. At the very least, for Doom, he has the ability to go back up into the jungle, but it really feels like he's going to be forced to do that very soon. Mid lane Silencer versus Queen of Pain's a pretty interesting matchup. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, Silencer does have the edge of having last word, which is really, really good for his Queen of Pain. But in the grand scheme of things, Queen of Pain just with Shadow Strike harassment will be able to get more damage out more consistently versus the Silencer. And she can kill off Shibi, whereas Shibi cannot kill off the Queen of Pain unless she really makes a mistake. So DK should have an edge here, and with one more armor, with a little bit more extra base damage, that's just going to help her in that lane, which she already should be winning. But, of course, Vengeful Spirit, Ancient Apparition, these two heroes can really put the screws to Queen of Pain if they decide to leave the lane.
Unfortunately, we're not going to see any scuffles for the early bounty runes. Top rune is going to be secured by the Troll and bottom lane by the Terror Blade, as the Faceless Void and Doom really can't make any contention by themselves, and TC didn't really want to commit their supports to it.
We already see Guanzo sitting near his jungle camp. I don't really think this is going to be too long term. However, once he sees the lane that he would potentially be up against, maybe he's going to consider not even going up towards that top lane. It's worth it to try just to force them to, drop an observer ward or, try to play in such a way that would indicate that there's a camp blocked, something like that. But no, Guanzo's going to say, screw that. I'm just going to go ahead and jungle. And I think versus this lane of Leviathan, that is a reasonable course of action. It's something that Jenkins can't really do. So I guess in that sense, TC have an advantage there. And even though Doom is not exactly the best jungler, he will get absolutely nothing up here except for, him dying. And that's not good.
No. Unfortunately, Guanzo, he eats the Hellbear, which under normal circumstances is a fine creep, but then he walks into an Alpha Wolf, which really would have helped his farming speed.
Yeah, the aura from the Hellbear is nice to clear, but it's probably not as good as extra damage from the Wolf. Down towards bottom lane, actually, Jenkins going to walk into a couple of heroes as DK is the one to claim first blood over towards mid. Jenkins going to time walk down to the low ground. DK, he dove the Silencer pretty darn deep, and Silencer went for Glaives level 1, which is reasonable versus the Queen of Pain, but seemed like DK just got the better of the Silencer. I didn't catch that.
Neither did I. Unfortunately enough, too. I didn't think that would be where we saw our first blood. Left alone in the lane, Shredder and company are going to put some pressure on this tier 1 tower, as they probably should.
And it's going to be slow and steady, but this tower is eventually going to be dropped down. The level 2 Fervor, or level 1 Fervor, being picked up at level 2 for the Troll Warlord means that he's going to be doing some serious damage to that tower. And down towards bottom, Jenkins once again in a little bit of trouble. This time there's a Hex there, plus a Spike, plus WW with the Shapeshift. And time walk out from Jenkins. Is he really going to live from that? Wow. Okay, Jenkins is surviving on this bottom lane, but he's not having a good time in the process.
Yeah, and unlike the Doom, going into the jungle for the Faceless Void just really isn't an option for him. He's going to soak his level 2 from this tier 1 tower push, but still, Jenkins is going to be forced completely out after the fact, and if they find a single spell onto him at this point, Jenkins is dead, and he is going to go all the way back towards base. Or is he? No, he's going to ferry out a Salve and a Clarity.
I mean, his tower has a creep wave right there, so it's, of course, appealing to a sense of greed, the fact that, hey, if I just stick around, I'll get some experience. Rizal's
oh
going to
my
make
goodness. Again in mid, DK kills off the Silencer. He just can't find a break here. The Queen of Pain is completely running the lane.
Yeah, what could you do about that as Silencer? Throw the last word, hope for the best. You're not going to win a man fight just yet. Maybe the Glaives make it so that the Silencer does even damage to the Queen of Pain, but that's about it. Silencer, this is a level 2 nuke. How much damage does it do? 200, that's not going to be lethal. It's going to be very close, 60 HP survival in Queen of Pain, but she's going to get 2 kills to herself right now, 2 solo kills. And Queen of Pain is certainly not a hero you want to give a decent early start to. And Silencer as a core is not a hero that you want to be, with nothing. So this Queen of Pain, we'll see how much she is actually able to do around the map. Because even though she's doing very well, the top lane, that tower is already dead, and it's not even 5 minutes yet.
Bottom lane, the tower destruction is going to be met by TC as well. Both of these offlaners can't really punish that, and I mean, you can't even really call Guanzo an offlaner. He has been inside the jungle for the most part.
Yeah, so this top lane is going to be similar over towards mid, though. Shibi going to get into another fight. Will he win this one? No, the dagger is still burning him down, and DK, though he got hit with the Curse of the Silent, he does have a bottle, whereas Shibi does not yet. Maybe that's really what's killing him in lane, although I don't really think it should matter that much. Like, DK is able to trade hits, but Shibi should know about that by now, that he's not able to trade hits with this Queen of Pain. If he goes back into this lane, he has another chance at dying right now.
He definitely does. Oh, lucky enough for Shibi, he does have his bottle now, so sustaining is going to be a little bit easier, but for the most part, this mid lane is not looking great at all. Doubled up in the CS and getting killed twice to add insult to injury, really.
Well, Venge and Ancient Apparition, they're in a position to potentially help out this Silencer right now, and killing off a level 5 Queen of Pain, that's going to get some pretty big rewards to Shibi, not only in the gold experience, but also in the intelligence stolen. He just has to try to look tasty and try to play it cool so that DK starts to get into another fight. But I think DK is potentially going to see this one coming. Of course, it's very hard given that there's no reason for the supports to be up on top lane. Having the supports off the map doesn't really mean anything. For right now, it seems like this smoke is not really going to result into much, as it will dispel.
Yeah, and they won't be able to find an opening without that smoke. I think they really need to open up with the curse, or rather the last word, onto the Queen of Pain, so she doesn't have the blink to disjoint the magic missile. Lion going to show himself in mid to see auto attacks creep, and now going to swing down towards bottom as well.
Only a 2-kill lead right now for the TC side, but their CS is working away real hard. The Doom doing very well for himself as he's going to rush up a hand of Midas as his first item. Faces Void getting nothing. Troll Warlord, though he is on the top of the net worth, or the last hit chart for Leviathan. It's going to need a little bit of help from Shibi or from someone, but top lane and bottom lane very handily being lost by the Leviathan players, and well, that's going to mean that TC have a free ride for the next upcoming minutes. WWD could even move around and use his level 3, or level 2 rather, Metamorphosis to try to take down some other towers if TC feels so inclined.
Yeah, but it really feels like there's not much pressure on them. They'll get the level 6 on the Doom. Maybe they can find kills at that point, but it really feels like the Queen of Pain needs to be the one to make the rotations for their side.
And she's level 7, so she's very close to being at that point where you feel comfortable moving around and getting those kills. Maybe we want to wait for a couple more points in Blink just to lower that cooldown so you don't die every single time you go in, but you have enough killing potential here with maxed out Scream of Pain and Sonic Wave. It's just a matter of who and where are you going to get these kills on, and it looks like he's going to be Shibi one more time. Sonic Wave to fly through. Here comes Nushin to help out. Magic Missile might buy Shibi his life, but the poison and the right clicks, that's going to kill him off. If not for a blink, DK sees one more right click. Shredder and Flying Zebra are both here, though. Whirling Axes onto DK. There's the Chilling Touch, and DK has a free blink to the south, where he will get himself pretty far away to safety. He's going to be A-okay, and I guess Leviathan don't lose anyone, but that was a pretty close call. They had to bring in their Troll and their Ancient Apparition to make sure that that doesn't result in another death.
Yeah, they leave the top lane completely alone. That is going to be remedied as Shredder comes back up there after the fact, but still, I think it's okay that they don't get that kill, even though they really would have liked to since they do commit the Sonic Wave.
Yeah, Sonic Wave also does have quite the cooldown. It's down for another minute and a half, 135 seconds total, so if you're going to be using that skill, you generally want to be getting a kill, especially on a hero that you've already killed a couple times. Like, it should be pretty easy to kill him that next time, but as of right now, Queen of Pain level 7 versus Shibi's level 6. Not a huge level differential right there. So the Silencer, he's certainly getting outlast hit by the Queen of Pain, but he has Global Silence, and that could result into a couple of things. First thing, though, it might end up saving Shredder on the top lane, but that is a slim possibility.
Yeah, with the smoke coming out from Guanzo as well as DK, this should be a pretty straightforward kill onto Shredder, as long as they find him, and it looks like they are going to bump right into him as he goes over to the small camp. They'll ping him out with the Queen of Pain, and this should be a pretty straightforward dude. Shredder is completely hosed at this point, nobody close to deny him as well. This is just going to be an easy pick-off for TC.
The third kill for the Thundercats side, and DK is going to grab himself a killing spree. And this Queen of Pain is off to a really good start right now as he's going to rush the Orchid, similar to the Storm Spirit of last game. Down towards bottom, Chronosphere was used, trying to get a kill on the Lion, but this is only level 6 Faces Void, and he doesn't really have the RNG on his side, it seems. He's going to have to let that Lion go. Leviathan's still not on the board at this point in time. And the last hit's net worth as well. It's looking pretty bad for Leviathan. It's still really early in the game, but they're just not getting enough gold in the heroes that matter. They're slowly but surely going to have to rely more and more on the team fighting, and though they do have some pretty powerful team fighting in the Chronosphere Global Silence, TC, they're no slouches either. They have the Doom as a response, and they have a Sonic Wave.
Yeah, and that's scary. Once they get the Orchid especially, the initiation power coming from TC is going to be quite potent. And this Faceless Void, since he hasn't had a good time, just isn't getting enough items to really back that up. He's going to be working towards a Mask of Madness next. That's not going to help the case, however, that he's still going to be very squishy for the enemy team. Far backtracks, I suppose. Tier 1 tower in mid going to be taken out by TC with WWD in the Metamorphosis form.
That's going to be towered down, and WWD is going to get the last hit on that as well. Power Treads and Ring of Aquila already completed on TB. Can go for pretty much whatever he wants at this stage because he's not being pressured at all from Leviathan. What he should want is this top lane tier 1 tower. Like, they took down mid so easily, you might as well try to do the same thing up towards top. But, you know, a couple of scraps of gold here and there for DK, and he's suddenly packing, you know, almost half of his Orchid at this stage. And once he has that, he's very easily able to kill off everyone from Leviathan. Maybe Troll Warlord's going to put up a little bit of a fight, but he won't survive that completely, or at least he won't turn it around for a kill.
Faceless Void inside the jungle might be in a spot of trouble. Time Walk Away is going to keep him safe if things really hit the fan. They don't have any hard lockdown. He's going to choose to smack Joink once. But now bringing in the Lion, yeah, he's going to be fine. Jenkins is going to make it to the low ground.
Well, Joik is still giving chase, but Jenkins, he knows that right now the Doom isn't a threat, as he just saw him up on top lane. So he doesn't have to worry about that form of crowd control. However, if Lion was there, that could have very easily been a kill. Guanzo's going to put himself into a really bad position right now. Here comes Nusham. The ultimate from the Troll is out, and Guanzo is maybe going to be bashed, but I think just with this magic damage, he's going to die. Best case scenario, he gets denied to the neutrals, and he's going to die anyway. Shibby finally gets some blood on his hands, and that's 2 intelligence for the Silencer, and a kill for Leviathan.
Yeah, very important for them, and it was a Doom that was sitting on quite a lot of levels. On top of it all, he gets off to Midas before he falls, so I suppose there is that silver lining. Could have been worse, at the very least, for the Doom.
Yeah, and he's going to be still unhappy about that, but to be fair, he was deep within the enemy jungle with all alone, so really can't expect anything great to come out from that. Maybe you find someone jungling, but more often than not, you're going to be dying in that situation. Up towards top, Flying Zebra, he's going to get jumped, and he's not going to get Sonic Waved even. DK is going to take the kill regardless. Here comes Shredder, and DK got frozen in place, but he has another Blink cooling down. This Blink, with 1300 range at level 1, is going to mean that Leviathan need to be there with the Vengeful Spirit, or Chronosphere, or any sort of guaranteed stun if they actually want to kill her off, because right now she's very quickly getting out of control.
Yeah, that is one Oblivion staff already completed, and very close to having that Orchid just a couple minutes. It's not going to be as fast as the Storm Spirit Orchid we saw in game number 1, but that's kind of to be expected, since the Queen of Pain has backed off her Power Treads and Bottle first. Even an Old Talisman completed Magic Wand. It's still going to be incredibly fast for DK.
If she didn't have all those extra items, she just had Brown Boots like the Storm Spirit in the last game, she would probably have the Orchid by now. Of course, maybe she wouldn't have 4 kills, so, you know, it's not really relevant, but who knows what might have happened. WWD, he's going to get spotted out by Jenkins. Additional attack speed there from the Troll Warlord, and WWD is completely surrounded. He has no Sunder chance right now as Chronosphere is dropped and Global Silence is dropped. Leviathan, that was maybe a little bit unnecessary, but man, take no chances, I guess.
I think they could have decided to just commit one or the other. It's definitely necessary to do so that he doesn't get off the Sunder, but yeah, since the global has already dropped down, Chronosphere did really feel like overkill. Ancient Shepherd's Ice Blast going to land onto 2 up top. TC are going to continue pushing, even though the Terrorblade died. They're at the very least utilizing the space that's left on the other side of the map.
And if Ryuza gets this tower last hit, he'll be very, very close to his Blink Dagger. And this is an absurdly fast Blink Dagger if he does grab it. And Guanzo's kind of in a similar boat. Both these heroes probably do want to pick up their Blinks very shortly. And then Leviathan, they're just going to be at the mercy of initiating power. And Venge isn't even level 6 yet. So if they do get initiated upon, whoever is on the receiving end of that, maybe they get saved by Global Silence as the best case scenario. But most of the time, it's going to be them instantly dying. As we might see that right now. Shibby, he's going to be in the mid lane just farming. That's all he wants, a little bit of peace and quiet. And then suddenly a million heroes, and he doesn't really have much of a chance here. Ice Blast is coming in, so maybe there's turnaround potential here for Leviathan. They're going to have to back out of Roshan as they throw the Doom the way of Shredder. Troll Warlord on the run. Probably won't die to this Doom, but TC now have complete control of the Roshan pit.
Yeah, that's nice for them. That Doom, in an ideal world, would have gotten them that kill. They have to Blink Dagger up in the Lion, crucially, though. And that is really fast for a support. Sub 14 minutes, the Blink Hex initiation is going to be super strong up against the Leviathan. In particular, onto the Silencer. If they Blink Hex him or Spike Finger of Death, that's pretty much a kill on the Silencer before he's able to get off his global.
And this is the coin flip status of Silencer. If you are able to have one of your allies get initiated upon and anyone but you, then yeah, Global's going to be a lot better. Otherwise, you're going to be completely dead weight. He has Power Treads, Null Talisman. That's good for, maybe 7 minutes ago, but not good enough right now. So GPM being led by TC as their net worth is slowly but surely climbing already up to 5k, only 1.5 in the experience, and it's going to be a pretty tough hill for Leviathan to climb. Especially since late game, there's still a Terrorblade to worry about. They're going to try to think about going for Roshan, but instead they'll try to go for the Queen of Pain, who will blink right into a Chronosphere. Jenkins will be able to kill off the Queen of Pain with the help of that Venge minus armor, and Can they back off successfully to dominate speed? No, they can't, because here comes the Lion with a Finger of Death onto the Faceless Void. Shredder may be making a 1-for-1 overall. Global Silence is there, but Shredder's not going to pursue that Lion. Needs to fall back right now. They have a Silencer incoming. Another stun being thrown the way of Guanzo, but look how much damage they're doing. Not much at all. Heal Bomb onto Shredder, dropping him very low as the swap back occurs, but Guanzo's still just walking away from this one right now. This Doom took pretty much no damage there, and at the end of the day, it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade with Global Silence used and Chronosphere used and TC only having 4 heroes there.
I'm still going to call that a win for TC since they get the Queen, or rather for Leviathan since they get the Queen of Pain and end her dominating spree. Even though Faceless Void died after the fact, it's still a net gain of gold for him, and the Lion, the major beneficiary for TC, is already complete up his blink. Leviathan, they have another fast Midas up on Flying Zebra. 15 minutes in for a support is no joke, especially if you're forced to buy a set of wards or two, and it is going to mean that level 11 and eventually an Agnum Scepter is going to come up for this AA. So Leviathan, they still have hope, and that gank on the Queen of Pain was perfectly executed by them. It was a situation where Queen of Pain, if she blinked away, she died. If she stayed and fought, she died as well. It was really no-win situation for the Quap.
And Leviathan, they're just trying to go for these kills just so they could get a little bit more time and space to go for Roshan. Jenkins, seemingly powerful enough at this point to solo Roshan. However, once the Wave of Terror wears off, I don't know if that's going to be the case. WWD is right outside, and he will spot the fact that Roshan was being killed off by someone. Of course, he doesn't know who that was. Yeah, Leviathan, they still have the Dream of the Chronosphere and the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, and when Aghanim does come up with the AA, it is possible for Leviathan to just crush team fights, especially, or pretty much only if they get the Global Silence off, however. So, TC, their Queen of Pain has slowed down considerably. Their Doom has slowed down considerably as well. It's a matter of time before they get back online, but for right now, they're not doing it. And that just means that there's more farm time for Leviathan, more recovery time from their batter at the start.
Blink Doom onto Shredder, but inside the melee form, he's just able to run out of this one. Again, second Doom onto Shredder that really hasn't accomplished anything.
Yeah, that's kind of rough, and they're thinking about going in. DK has the Orchid prepped, but Shredder is already has the Doom worn off, and DK might be walking into a trap right now. He's going to jump forward, looking for Flying Zebra. They're going to snipe the Ancient Apparition. Global Silence is there, though, and Ryuza is going to be pecked down by the Silencer. More into for him, as Joik also gets hit with the Magic Missile. Shredder doesn't really want to commit fully onto this Dazzle. Here comes the Void, though. Going to land a 2-man Chronosphere. Joik is doomed to fall. No Grave is going to help him here. Now Guanzo is going to get bashed down. Nice Sonic Wave onto 2, but DK is now all alone. Magic Missile is there. Bash? No bash? Okay, well, sometimes you just don't get bashes, I suppose. DK is going to straight TP out. We'll be fine. But still a 1-for-3 trade as Leviathan keep all of their more important heroes alive.
Yeah, and Ancient Apparition, even though he dies there, he still has that Midas ticking, so he is going to be able to get his gold eventually, and really they don't lose much. The Terrorblade's farming in the meantime, and is going to put some pressure onto the enemy side of the map, but still it's a big win for Leviathan that they've really needed for quite some time, and that was a fight that TC really kind of banked on. That's your Orchid on the Queen Pain really accomplishing nothing, and the Doom also not doing much with that cooldown spent.
And now Leviathan, they're going to try Roshan for like the 4th time or something. Maybe every single time they bring it down by 1,000 HP while not losing any HP themselves, and they'll eventually get it down. But keep in mind that also Thundercats, they are working without their Terrorblade right now. For pretty much the entire game, they have not been working with their Terrorblade, and they're going to jump in for an assassination on the Vengeful Spirit. Quick blink in, Finger of Death after Spike, and there's not much you could do except for buy more HP for next time. And maybe Thundercats are going to be the ones to ultimately go for Roshan right now, though they don't really have that much Roshing power, so they're going to back off. Either way, it's still possible for TC just to get these single hero snipes, and Leviathan, they need to replicate that jungle fight a couple more times.
Yeah. Lion was able to jump into a 1v2 situation. It felt like the Leviathan were at all panic stations once he jumped in. I think they might have been able to save the Venge if they just fought the Lion with the Faceless Void and got the bashes up towards top. DK gets bashed down by Shredder, and there's the bash that he wanted a couple minutes ago. And it's going to find himself a solo kill.
You gotta remember that the Troll Warlord, even though the rest of his team isn't really doing that well, he had protected farm. He's sitting on the top of the net worth chart. Even though he's going for a very, very tanky build with the Helm of the Dominator and the Sange, he's able to do some serious damage just because he is Troll. Over towards mid, Shibby panicking and throwing the Global Silence. If you see a Lion approaching you like that, it's reasonable to assume that something's up. But of course now Global Silence is down, and he didn't get any value off of that at all.
Yeah, Leviathan have been really twitchy when it comes to that line because they have to, as you said. But this time around, he didn't have the Finger of Death cooldown. I think Shibby probably should have held that cooldown.
Well, either way, Queen of Pain is down for another 10 seconds, and Leviathan, they're still roaming around this Roshan pit. They really, really want this Roshan, but maybe they're instead going to go for a bottom lane tower. With no global silence, though, it's hard to suggest Leviathan go for really anything. Like, there's nothing that they could do that's really safe, even though they may have a 4v5 advantage. The Doom will essentially make it a 4v4 even, and then, well, the other heroes in TC are pretty powerful. So, yeah, I don't really know why we're paused, but hopefully this is not going to be the case for much longer.
Especially since the lobby for the next series is actually already up. TPG versus Boreal. We're probably going to be missing game number 1.
Oh well, that's fine. I mean, ultimately, I think the two games, the Business and Boreal, Leviathan, Team, they're going to be deciding pretty much the same thing. So the winner of this goes up against the winner of that.
Yes, and
the winner of that is in Division 1.
yes,
For
I
anyone
think that's
who's
how it
following.
works out.
Man, why don't they make this a lot easier? Jenkins towards bottom lane is going to get doomed. Blink forward by the Doom as Ryuzo gets into play. Swap back onto Jenkins. Might buy him a little more time. There's no Finger of Death right now, but a Sonic Wave is going to fly through, connect onto 3. And Jenkins should be now in a lot of trouble. Shibi's going to try TP. That's pretty bold of him. That's not going to work either. Faces Void is going to get sniped on the retreat. That's 3 kills for TC. And man, if they had a global silence there, that could have been pretty useful.
Yeah, it definitely could have been, and now with the Metamorphosis pop by WWD, they'll be able to put a lot of pressure into this bottom lane. With the Alpha War aura as well, even though they're affected by the minus 20% from Venge dying, they're still dishing. Terrorblade's going to find himself a tower destruction.
At the very least. The Roshan is still there. Metamorphosis is still active for a little while longer. Though the illusions are not really useful at all in killing off Roshan. You could make them tank, so it's a little bit safer for WWD and the rest of TC in general. It's probably a little bit too risky, especially with everyone from Leviathan respawning soon. Roshan is having to deal with so many visitors, but no one's actually making a real hard attempt at killing him off. It's 11-7 only here for TC, but they have such a huge advantage right now in 7,500 gold experience, going upwards of 3k. This is getting really bad for Leviathan. They have to land some good Chronospheres or make sure that they have their ultimates up when they really need them.
Yeah, right now the farm on Chibi as well as onto Jenkins isn't going to carry them through this game. It's all about landing a good chrono and landing a good global, and for the last 2 fights, they just haven't been able to do so. Chibi panicking when the lion blinks in, the Faceless Void also getting doomed up and just controlled really well by TC. In that last engagement, it's looking a little bit more questionable for them, but since they weren't able to use the Chronosphere last time, they do have that now and might be able to look for a smoke.
But TC, of course, they know that the enemies have their ultimates up at this point. Smoke up for Leviathan as they're going to loop around. Best case scenario, they're running to the Terrorblade right now. Please, no one on Leviathan. It's so painful whenever you see any team hit an illusion out of smoke, but they're not going to fall for that. They're going to wrap around, and they're going to maybe run into the supports. That's also pretty good. Or DK or Joik or anything. Jump in. Chronosphere opportunity onto 2, which will connect. Joik is going to fall. DK is also going to die as the Doom walks into the Chronosphere. Additionally, Ryuzo is going to get clipped by the Ice Blast. And that's what I'm talking about for Leviathan. That's exactly what they needed in order to maybe not completely get back into this game, but in order to stop bleeding out and to stop hemorrhaging gold to TC.
Especially now that they'll also get a Roshan after the fact with Faceless Void and Shredder working with them with the minus armor of the Venge. This one is going to be successful, and this will secure them a double life, presumably for Shredder. Maybe they give it away to Jenkins, but no. He's going to have to part ways with his Aquila.
That's not going to make him too sad, especially since the Courier is going to grab it. So Courier's got some fancy new bling, and Shredder, he has, I guess, some newer, even fancier bling in that Aegis. The negatives on Doom in response, not really going to matter too much as long as Leviathan keep taking fights like that. Their entire fight pretty much hinges on this Chronosphere. It's not every day where you're going to find a 2-man like that. So Leviathan, if they make a play without these ultimates, this is just walking into a death trap right now. This is really, really bad for them. I mean, Shredder does have the Aegis right now, but it's going to not help him if he just instantly gets picked off and while the rest of his team can't respond. Hex onto Shredder, and that's about it right now. Leviathan, this is a really bold play. I don't think this is the right one either. Guanzo, he's going to be warded away by Shredder, who's pretty much acting like a one-man wall right now. And it looks like Leviathan, they might be falling back, but they seemingly really want to go with this Aegis. They're going to catch WWD, who's instantly going to Manta Split. Do they have a Chronosphere cooling down yet? 20 seconds, Shredder. He's going to get spiked and level death and brought down. That's Aegis for free for TC. And I'm pretty sure they could kill off the Troll again, although Ice Blast is coming in. It's a pretty big one, connecting onto 3. that's going to be the time to fight if ever there was one. But Nusham's going to get assassinated on the way out, plus Chibi's going to get doomed. Honestly, I don't know what the plan was there for Leviathan. You have the Aegis, yeah, but Aegis is not as good as Chronosphere and this Global Silence, but they land the Chronosphere anyway. Onto 2. Guanzo is going to be chopped down after DK. Spike a little bit too late there. WWD is right-clicking off from the sidelines, but his Finger of Death to kill off the Faceless Void. I mean, that was a decent follow-up for Leviathan, but that shouldn't have even started like that in the first place.
Fortunately enough for them, it's not going to be an immediate objective taken out by TC since the Tier 2 tower has previously fallen in mid, but really when they commit that Chronosphere, they want to be taking a dominating fight and not a 2-for-3 trade. Even though the 2 that TC lost are super significant ones, the Terrorblade still able to survive, and he's going to be well on his way towards his next major item.
And I guess Shredder survives as well, so the fact that TC, I guess they don't lose WWD, they lose 2 other heroes that are also worth a hell of a lot of gold right now, so Leviathan's still getting quite a bit off of that, but it was a janky situation to begin with. And now they're without their Aegis. Global Silence status, it's going to be up right now. And they probably need Chronosphere a lot more than they need the Global Silence at this point. So it's going to be another minute before the Faceless Void gets truly back online. But once that happens, Faceless Void, he's going to be hitting pretty hard because he does have a fresh crit.
Yeah, definitely, and he has been recovering pretty nicely for them, but honestly it feels like they kind of need an Aghanim Scepter up on Leviathan on top of what he already has to really be in a comfortable place, just so that they can have that reduced cooldown, because it really is crucial for their fights.
Yeah, if they have that up, you know, all the time, they need it every single fight. It's just a matter of how often can they fight, how often do TC force them to fight, and well, that determines how good it's going to be, so... Right now, it's going to be actually mobility from TC going into the enemy jungle. This is pretty bold as well. I mean, maybe not as bold as the play that Leviathan just made, but knowing that there's Global Silence on the other end and a Chronosphere, you don't really want to be making a play like this.
Yeah, it is very risky for them, but TC, they're going to be comfortable enough to do it. They are without their full 5-man lineup, however, so they're just going to result to split pushing. Terrorblade farming up their own jungle, Queen Pain farming up towards top, and Doom in bottom.
Alright, so right now it's just a little bit of a farm fest. Of course, Leviathan, they're going to be more than happy to take this time to recover. Silence already has his Aghanim Scepter up. Maybe it's going to be a refresher or a build for him, and that seems like it should be pretty reasonable in this game. More so for 100% uptime than double Global Silence in the fight, but now they have a BKB on the Troll Warlord. The Ancient Apparition just needs one more creep to kill, and then he'll have his Aghanim Scepter. This is about time for Leviathan to make a play. Not quite yet, since they need the Aghanims on Ancient Apparition, but once that happens, it's not going to get that much better from here on out, unless they want to wait for a very, very long time. They're going to pop the Battle Trance, put this tower down to pretty low amounts of HP, but TC, they are seemingly not going to defend this, so free tower for Leviathan. They're going to be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, Doom is putting pressure on bottom, but yeah, since the tier 2 towers aren't there standing, it doesn't really bother Leviathan much. They are going to group up again. The Roshan is going to be spotted out, but it's miles away from actually respawning.
And they're just gonna, go around, farm it just a little bit more. Yeah, the Troll Warlord and Faceless Void probably at this point going to be building a little bit more towards the damage end of the spectrum. Obviously, Faceless Void already has the crit completed. Shredder, he doesn't really have many damage items, yet he's trucking with damage regardless. If he does pick up a single damage item, then, if he's able to attack from the outsets of the Chronosphere, even though in range form, typically you have less DPS, he's going to be able to kill off people in a hurry. And if he's able to kill off someone like DK in the Chronosphere, then obviously the Faceless Void doesn't have to worry about the Queen of Pain. You could kill off 2 very easy with every single Chronosphere you land.
For now, Leviathan are going to group up down towards bottom. They have the long-range artillery with the Aghanim Scepter on the Ancient Apparition. They're going to look to take down the tier 1 tower down towards bottom, but they have to deal with top. WWD is taking that tier 2, but inside the woods, they will find Nusham with the Finger of Death as well as a level death, and tier 2 tower goes freely towards TC. They might lose their tier 1 tower down towards bottom, but it also could be denied. BKB forced out by Shredder as well. They're going to doom him up with the Aghanim Scepter. Shredder in a whole heap of trouble. Let's see if they're able to chase him down. However, he is pretty darn fast with the Sanjin Yash. Blink forward from DK as the BKB wearing off. They'll orchid him up, and this doom is going to last for eternity with the ultimate from the Queen of Pain. That's going to be a pretty clean kill. No ability for them to deny. They're going to hex up one. BKB popped. I believe that was the Queen of Pain. Global Silence going to be used as Leviathan just aren't finding anything with this global, and Terrorblade's continuing to push up towards top in the meantime with Metamorphosis Illusions at the tier 3.
Yeah, the reason TC actually decided to go for that in the first place was because the Faceless Void was up towards top. He's really the only hero that could punish a chase like that, in that at a certain point there, he had opportunities to get a two-man Chronosphere to kill off both the Queen of Pain and the Doom, but you're not going to get the Chronosphere off if you're not in the area. And by taking out Nushim first thing in the jungle, they knew that the swap wasn't a big deal. So the chase down on Troll Warlord, though it was a very, very long chase from, all the way into the Radiant side of the map to the Dyers, it worked out very well because they knew that they had the advantage of, not having... they knew that the reinforcements there for Leviathan weren't going to be substantial. So it's a pretty nice chase for TC. They kill off the Troll Warlord, and they also put a hell of a lot of pressure up towards top. This tower is in deny range now, and if you were watching up towards top at all, Jenkins, he got messed up just by a couple of illusions of Terrorblade.
Yeah, even though they don't take the tier 3 tower, they drop it down to deny range, and it probably won't be denied and probably shouldn't by Leviathan, but still, that's scary. If Terrorblade as much as breathes on that tower again, and just gets a couple of seconds of space, it is going to be high ground broken.
And then that's going to open up a whole new can of worms for Leviathan. Terrorblade, he did get hit pretty hard by the illusion nerf. He does do less damage now to the buildings. But if you're this stacked, then, it won't matter because you're still doing some damage to the buildings. And eventually you're going to take down the range racks, and then, it makes it easier to take down the melee thereafter. Leviathan, they are going to have to take much more convincing fights from here on out. And the fights that they have been taken, that have been won by them, have been fairly convincing, but even with a couple of those, it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough right now, just because TC are holding such a lead. Although it is not going that much more into TC's favor. Leviathan have done their best to stop the gain of gold for TC.
Yeah, but it really feels like the heroes that are getting the gold are just so scary with it. You have the Aghanim Scepter BKB up in the Doom. From here on out, it's a pretty straightforward refresher for Guanzo, and that's not going to be too long in coming. Terrorblade's farming up a storm with Manta, Scotty, and probably into a Butterfly next for WWD. I don't think there's anything much greater than that.
Yeah, you get some huge items, and then you're going to be able to just A-move into the enemy base, and with the Doom on the Faceless Void or anything like that, then there's nothing that's really going to stop WWD at all. Like, if he has evasion and the amount of health that he has, Leviathan, what could they do except for land a Chronosphere and pray? The Troll Warlord will have an MKB, it looks like. Shredder is going to be building towards that, so evasion maybe not going to be the biggest deal for the Leviathan side to deal with, but still, it's a Terrorblade that's getting pretty much free farm right now, and him and Doom are leading the way the net worth. Doom, with the BKB with the Aghanims, is able to do quite a bit of work, just Doom whoever he wants, and then charge forward, not having to worry about much at all, except for Chronospheres.
Yeah. For now, the game has slowed down a tad bit, as TC don't find any immediate opportunities to look for a fight, and they are going to be fighting up into Global as well as the Chronosphere, which is an engagement that they want to find unless they get a pick off first. And the way Leviathan are playing, they're pretty clumped up, and that's just not possible.
Yeah, and so Leviathan, they're going to be happy with getting a little bit more free time to farm. Again, I don't really know if they're going to be waiting for any item in particular, but they seem to have it in their minds that the later this game goes, the better off they're going to be. And with the Faceless Void and a Troll Warlord, two heroes that just can single-handedly win games, that is not an unreasonable assumption. WWD is going to run to Jenkins, and it looks like that's not going to happen. So, yeah, the super late game situation, Leviathan have a much better shot, I feel, because right now all they're fighting is dependent on the Chronosphere and the, oh, hold on, Ruzo is going to jump in, finger Jenkins, but he will backtrack the finger, and he'll backtrack the Sonic Wave. Are you kidding me? Jenkins might actually survive here. Time walk out, one more right click, and he won't live just because there's too many heroes there. They'll also take out the Vengeful Spirit, but my god, those are some lucky rolls from the Faceless Void.
They are. If he had any sort of defensive item on top of this, heck, even like an Ogre Club towards a BKB, maybe he survived that. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. Finger of Death as well as the Sonic Wave. Honestly, I think ultimates shouldn't be able to be backtracked, but that's another story entirely.
Nah, man, it's at least not as bad as Old Spectre. I mean, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it used to be you have a chance to completely avoid damage for dispersion. You had a chance to completely avoid damage, and that damage would be dispersed amongst the enemy units around you. So, that would have killed off the line in Queen of Pain. It would have been pretty easy. So, it's not as broken as it could be, but still, it's pretty BS when it happens with your ultimates. Either way, Roshan is once again going to be visited by Thundercats. They will back off from that. If they can keep getting pick-offs like that, then, and also taking down the top lane, not only the tower, but also the range racks is dangerously close to falling, and Only a couple more illusions will seal the deal there. It just seems like Leviathan, they're stalling out the game. It's ultimately Thundercats to get the objectives, and that's obviously what counts.
Yeah, and right now, Terrorblade probably is going to be able to take this range barracks. It's only a matter of when. He's, every once in a while, just able to throw an illusion once the creep wave's pushed in, and even just one hit is going to take out, like, 15 to 20 HP out of that tower, which is pretty ridiculous. Okay, for now, Team, they are looking good, and nothing's really changing. Leviathan are going to get an Aegis up, and this is going to be crucial for the Troll Ward, and he'll have an MKB, so maybe, just maybe, this is what Leviathan looked for. Look at that Roshan speed coming up from both of them with Battle Trance.
And if they could somehow apply that much attack speed and DPS to the TC side without having to worry about getting insta-gibs, then Leviathan are able to, plow through the TC side very, very quickly and, go all the way to the towers. And those towers are not safe either. They're probably even in more trouble just because the towers can't run away. So Leviathan, they're certainly able to do a lot of damage, but they just need the correct mechanisms in order to get that damage done. The problem is that they need someone up on top lane pretty much at all times to deal with this Terrorblade. And the heroes that could do it effectively, Terrorblade or Troll and Faceless Void, are needed in the fight. So you're going to have to make very short excursions on the other side of the map and then teleport up to the high ground or teleport back to the top lane or kill off WWD, both of which are not that easy.
Yep, well, for now, Leviathan, they're grouped up, but they're forced to deal constantly with this Terrorblade. Range barracks at 72 HP. Terrorblade Illusion's going to mop up this creep wave, and they throw plenty of spells into it, but it really doesn't feel like it's going to matter. 3 Terrorblade Illusions, this is range barracks down. Nothing they can do about it.
And now Terrorblade doesn't even have to be here. Slowly but surely, the top lane is going to be pushing towards the Dire, and Leviathan are once again going to drop another objective towards TC. In the meantime, they don't get anything except for CS farm, and that's fine, but it's definitely not as good as a set of range maxes. Jenkins, he is going to be picking up his Daedalus as soon as the courier gets to him, so with the Void attack speed, or the Troll attack speed rather, Void is able to kill off some people in a hurry, but we haven't seen a team fight or a Chronosphere or Global Silence in a hell of a long time, and well, it's really going to be a question as to whether or not Leviathan side can take a good team fight. If they don't, then this Terrorblade, what he did up towards top lane, is going to happen everywhere.
Yeah. Now, looking towards bottom, defensive Chrono as Jenkins looks for a clean TP out, and he'll be able to do so. Bonzo doesn't commit anything for that, however, and without Chronosphere, TC can look to make a fight happen on their own terms, even though they're dealing with a double life on the Troll. At the very least, they can look for an aggressive move into the enemy woods.
Well, right now it's going to be Shredder who's closest to WWD. They know that the Terrorblade has been here for most of the recent game, and Flying Zebra now is going to spot him out. He gets destroyed by one illusion, Flying Zebra dropping all the way to half right now. It seems like TC are okay with letting this Terrorblade get farmed, knowing that the Doom and Queen of Pain are also getting similar amounts of farm. This is just one of those Farm Fest games, and I'm going to say it right now, these games suck. Like, you don't want to watch a Farm Fest game ever.
No, not really. WWD is going to have a BKB, and that is going to make the Sunder a little bit more reliable for them. I think that getting the Butterfly might have been a tad bit better, but at the current state of the game, he's going to be getting that next major item pretty darn soon anyway, so I'm not sure it matters much. Refresher up for the Doom is really the biggest thing that Team could have been waiting for. That and the Aegis timeout, I suppose.
And Doom has, so far, been getting his Dooms off pretty well versus Leviathan, having 2 of them. Of course, the dream is you Doom the Faceless Void before Chronosphere, or you Doom the Troll or the Silencer before Global Silence. It's a tall order, and now over towards mid, something's going to happen. Ryuza is going to get blown up after a swap back from Nusham. It's a kill on the Lion. Leviathan, maybe you want to go make a Roshan attempt after this, but unfortunately for them, it's not even there. So, yeah, it's not going. Actually, no, they still have Aegis. So, yeah, are they going to make a push attempt off of this? Seems unlikely.
Yeah, it definitely does. The MKB is all the way up for Shredder, however, and maybe they can do something, but right now it just feels like both teams respect the team fighting potential of the other side, and nobody wants to do anything. And I'm not sure what's going to actually change that. It's probably going to rely on somebody get a little too comfortable in farming and then getting picked off.
Man, it's these types of situations where I just wish I could just ask one of the Leviathan players, like, hey, what are you thinking right now? Like, what's the game plan? Because like, I'm just curious, like, do they think that going for late game is best for them. That's the only reason why they're doing this. So actually, they're going to catch WWD. You can't TP out from a Troll Warlord, and WW is going to get pretty much perma-stunned after the Troll Warlord gets his first hit bash. Okay, that's going to be the death of the Terrorblade. And, man, it's very easy to kill off the heroes as long as you could find them. And this time, Terrorblade is off the table. Top lane is still pushing in, so Leviathan have to still make that defense. But they get a pick-off, and it's a pick-off on one of, if not the most important targets.
Yeah, and a solo kill for the Troll to boot. It's going to be well towards its way towards the Satanic, and at that point killing off this Troll is really darn difficult if they get the Chronosphere and Global Silence off at a good timing. Aegis is going to expire, so maybe that opening is going to widen up a little bit for TC, but not when TB's down. Leviathan have managed to buy themselves a couple more minutes in this game.
And a couple more minutes is going to mean a couple more items. Faceless Void maybe getting a BKB, but he's going to find Guanzo. Battle Trance is there. Sonic Wave going to drop him all the way down to half. Here comes the Ice Blast. That's lethal. And that'll kill off the Doom. Let's see if they can find anyone else. Nusham doesn't have vision for a swap back onto Joik, and Queen of Pain is long gone. Leviathan, if they use the Chronosphere like that at this stage, that's 100% worth it. Of course, you know, Faceless Void got wrecked by that Sonic Wave, but killing off Doom in exchange, that is huge. That means that they could go for a little bit more.
Yeah, it is. Tier 2 tower up towards top looks to be that little bit more for the team, and let's see if they're going to be able to take it. As long as they get up to the tower, it's not really a question at all with the vast amount of attack speed that they're bringing to the table with the Troll Ward and the Faceless Void. Shredder is going to start working away at it with the Fervor, not even popping the Battle Trance for this.
And why pop Battle Trance? The tower's already dead, man. This Troll Warlord is doing a hefty amount of damage with the MKB, and he has 4,300 gold in the bank account as well. If he wants to go for another damage item, he can very easily snap that up. And well, Faceless Void, he's going to be building a Perseverance item. Looks like it should be a Lincoln Sphere, I think. It's, never mind, going to be an Aghanim Scepter. I think it's about time Leviathan realized that, hey, if we get the spammable Chronosphere, we can get a hell of a lot of kills. And that is the truth. That has been the truth for quite a long time. Although I would like to see some Lincoln Spheres up on Leviathan. It's a really good item versus what TC have.
It is, but then again, who's going to farm it? I think the thought for Jenkins there was Refresher or Aghanim Scepter, and he's going to settle on the Axe, because I think having a consistent Chrono is better than having the double. Their damage is enough to where, one, to get a team fight is more than enough, so I think just having the reduced cooldown is probably a bit better for their side.
If you get doomed, like, Refresher doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I suppose that's the case too. Maybe we'll see Silencer pick up a Lincoln Sphere as his next item, but for now it looks like Refresher is on the table for Shibi.
Well, speaking of on the table and Shibi, he's going to be very quickly devoured. That was some segue, right?
Absolutely.
Next level segue.
It works out, I suppose. Shibi is going to be picked off by TC.
Alright, so Silencer down for another minute or so, and TC, that means that there's no global silence to worry about, though I do think still the Chronosphere is the thing that's a little bit more threatening. They do have to be scared of both. They're going to go for a mid lane push as 5. They're about done with waiting, and they're going to try to force buybacks, first of all, from the Silencer. I don't really know if Silencer is going to take that bait, however. If they reinitiate, if TC get the fight going, but there's a Chronosphere going to connect only onto Guanzo. There's Shallow Grave from the outsets. Ice Blast going to come in, which will connect onto 2. Guanzo with the BKB is going to not get the Doom off. He gets blown up, and now Jenkins going to be the even trade as Silencer does buy back, trying to get into the middle of this fight. Shredder not close enough to bash anyone. He gets impaled as well. Swap back, though, onto Ryuzaw. Is going to dodge a stun with the Yule Scepter, but in the meantime, Flying Zebra kills off the Terrorblade with the ultimate, I think. Yeah, they take out the Terrorblade somehow in the midst of that, even though no one was really attacking him. It's going to be Leviathan to take a 2-for-1. It does cost them a Silencer buyback, but it works out in the end.
It could have been a little bit cleaner there if they dropped the Global Silence faster to stop the Shallow Grave from coming out, but still, as long as they stop Doom from getting off a single Doom, winning the team fight's a lot easier for them, and they've been very liberal about picking him off. And that's going to stymie the aggression again. Leviathan are buying themselves more times, and things are starting to get scary now that you're dealing with a Troll Warlord that's going to be working potentially towards a Lincoln Sphere, and they have a Lincoln's up on the Ancient Apparition as well. Maybe it's even going to be a Scotty. Not sure if it matters a lot for the Troll Warlord. I think both items definitely have their merits. But Leviathan, they're taking fights very well with this Chronosphere, and Aghanim Scepter is well on its way.
And when they have that Aghanim Scepter on Faceless Void, he will feel nothing about, dropping a Chronosphere if it does catch a Doom. That's it, just catch the Doom, and you will most of the time, as a team, be able to kill him off. And then even if you don't, you try to back off, and well, you'll have a Chronosphere up very soon anyway. So it's just going to let Jenkins have so much more uptime to use his Chronosphere very liberally onto pretty much anyone he wants. And most of the time, that unfortunate target is going to be the Doom. So, I mean, the Doom has quite a bit of net worth. That's 19k total that he's worth right now. It's all going to mean 0 once he gets in that Chronosphere and brought down. But over towards mid, they have an opening. They're going to jump in for Shredder. He's hexed up very quick with the Boots of Travels inside Yasha, but he's going to get double hexed up. And now swap out from Nusham. They might actually get Shredder to safety right now as Jenkins is going to come with the Chronosphere. Doom being wasted on Lincoln Sphere, and Jenkins in a lot of trouble right now. But turn to Frog. Jenkins is going to have to back off right now. Guanzo's going to refresh his Doom. And now there's no Chronosphere, but there's still a global silence. So Leviathan are actually still able to make this defense, but it will be very difficult right now.
Yeah, well played by Flying Super, dropping that Lincoln Sphere on the perfect time onto his allies, and they're going to be able to save the troll, but it looks like the tier 3 tower might be the cost here. With the Metamorphosis illusions working away at, they're able to glyph, and for now, push has been stymied. They won't have a Chronosphere for this next engagement, but they do have a global.
It's just a minute countdown. Faceless Void is going to wait till that, but they jump in for Shredder. They doom him, they hex him, they everything him. There's a global silence or something. Yeah, that's going to be thrown, but there's no follow-up actually. It's going to be DK leading the charge. He Sonic Waves and whiffs onto Shibby, but Jenkins still running off to the north. Is still in a little bit of trouble, but it's going to be the buildings in the most trouble. Right now, TC are going to start the destruction as Leviathan can do nothing but watch their buildings get destroyed. It's unfortunately for Leviathan going to be Raxus down, and it's still not going to be the end of the game for them just because they have so much power, but if they don't have the Global Silence and the Chronosphere, mainly the Chronosphere, then they really don't stand much of a chance of taking these fights. It's been the Lion to initiate every single time, and he's been doing work.
A lot of work, too. The Lincoln Sphere coming out from Flying Super was just a little bit too late, and that completely removed Shibby from the fight. There's no way you can fight when you get doomed at this stage with the Aghanim Scepter. He's going to look for the solo on the Roshan. Even without lifesteal on this troll, he's still able to just permabash Cold Motion. They're going to take it. My goodness. Aegis and now Cheese on their side. Who's going to get the Cheese, however?
Probably Shibby, who didn't quite force staff all the way in, so yeah, it's a good thing they picked up the Aegis and didn't leave the Aegis on the floor, or else TC could have gotten their hands on that. Shibby is going to grab the cheese, and it looks like he should back off and be just fine, but this is now 1.5 sets of Raxes in favor of TC, and Leviathan, they're still holding strong for the most part. I mean, these Raxes are important for sure, but it is possible for them to win even without those being alive, and TC, it's slow and steady for them. They're just going to slowly work at these buildings, do the exact same thing what they just did in the mid lane, except now bottom and then eventually top, or top and then eventually bottom. And then that's going to be Megas, and that should be game, as Leviathan, they don't really have enough of what it takes to hold off Megas and TC. Throw a Hex in there, throw a Sheep in there from the Scythe, and then it's all over.
Yeah, they'll already have their hands full up towards top. Honestly, this troll desperately needs that lifesteal from the Helmet Dominator. He opted to go for a Blink to try and get into this fight, and it's really hard to knock a Blink pickup, but this late into the game, I don't think that's really his problem more than anything. As long as they get the Chronosphere off well, I think they're fine.
And that's a tall order, but he does have the Aghanim Scepter, so he's allowed a little bit more leeway now with a minute cooldown on that ultimate. TC, though, they are probably just waiting this out because they know that there's an Aegis on the other end. And Leviathan, this should be about time for them to try to make some sort of play. It's, again, not going to get much better for them unless they just want to truly turtle and, try to play the super late game with the unstoppable Troll Warlord and Faceless Void combo, which it seems like it can work, but it just is not working as long as TC get the initiation off. So this Aegis is a lot of power for Leviathan, and it looks like right now it's going to waste.
Which is unfortunate for them. Leviathan, at a certain point, there just isn't much that they can do, and TC are just going to play this really slowly. We now have a Lincoln Sphere proper for the Troll Warlord. Actually doing him really isn't possible anymore. Level Death Doom is a combination for the Doom himself to actually get that spell, and there's going to be some other interruption. Ryza is going to be Chronosphered up and taken very quickly, and Doom going to walk into it. They'll be able to get the Hex off onto Jenkins, and now Doomed up. Faceless Void's going to pay the piper for that Lion kill, although it is only the Aegis. They have a Global Silence as well as the Refresher up for the Silencer. Now they want to blink in with the BKB, going to go to town onto a handful of illusions, but Charge doesn't find a proper target. They're going to doom a Lincoln's, and that's going to be it. Never mind.
Well, they're looking for a swap back. Time walk forward. Jenkins going to start going to work onto WWD, who's going to turn around with the reflection, doing a lot of damage to Jenkins. Got to work on the perm bashing. Here comes Shredder, though. He's the one who can bash truly, and WWD getting us under onto Shibby, though there's the cheese there in response. That's a 1-for-3 trade right now for the Leviathan side, all because they decide to Chronosphere just one random target. That's going to start off a chain reaction that results into a whole bunch of deaths for TC, though unfortunately for Leviathan, they can't really do much with this. They have no creep wave nearby, which means backdoor protection is going to be a little bit too much. Although Shredder can eventually fight it, they have to teleport back and defend their base. So it's a one-team fight for Leviathan that results in a tier 2 tower, but that's not really good enough. They have to go for more, and it looks like they're going to try to pressure the high ground, and that is actually possible right now, though TC, they can easily fall back and defend it.
Lucky enough for Leviathan, they're not going to have to deal with a single Doom in this next fight, but yeah, that's it. They want to defend this melee barracks up towards top, and it's a good choice at that. Let's see if they catch out DK. Axis is going to miss, and a blink away, even if they hit, will keep the Queen of Pain safe, and Leviathan, they need to replicate that. They really need this Doom to miss his Dooms. Doing the Lincoln here twice this game, it's not really his fault or anything. It's really hard to catch those targets when you have Flying Zero playing Lincolns and Lincolns as well in the Troll. But still. Either way, Refresher been out picked up for the Queen of Pain. Double Hex is going to be another way for TC to start fights on their own terms. And still, game could go either way, although TC still have the reins.
Yeah, and they just have to make sure to play around the global silence timer as best they can. If they do, I mean, it's a lot harder to do both the Chronosphere and the global silence now since Aghanim Sceptron faces Void, but as long as they play around the global silence, they stand a reasonable shot in this game still, TC. In fact, they're very well favored in this game. The Terrorblade, he's still getting a hell of a lot of farm. Butterfly completed 2,700 gold in the bank with one more item slot to fill. And, well, he's going to be capped out soon. Queen of Pain is going to grab her Refresher Orb, and then she's very close to being capped out as well. If Leviathan could resist a couple of 6-slotted heroes, then, maybe with the Faceless Void still having a lot more room to grow, they'll be able to bring this back. But for right now, they're going to be charged with yet another defense. They have everything available to them that they could possibly want, except for the fact that they're very far outside of their base. And they're going to be facing up a fully woven team of TC. And Jenkins is spotted right now. He's going to get doomed. He's going to get 4-staffed out, but a Spike is going to catch 2. Sonic Wave as well onto those same 2. Nusham's doomed to fall, plus Faceless Void is already dead. They also caught Shibby. Is there going to be a global silence? There is, but it's not going to help him. It's not going to do jack, in fact, as he is going to take a fall as well. That's 3 heroes down for Leviathan, all 3 of which have no buyback. This is going to be top lane Raxes. This should be bottom lane Raxes as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything they can do, and why not just go to end this game? If Leviathan had the buybacks, they'd spend them now for sure with the Chronosphere up for Jenkins, and Glyph is all that they can do to help stall this out. And after quite a long period of passivity, all it takes is 1-1 team fight. And TC looks like they'll be able to round out this game 2 and take it to game 3. They will be able to bring down the Lion low, but a Evil Scepter and Ghost Scepter going to save his life, and Shredder's doomed up. Can he fight back the entire enemy team? WWD, they're going to be able to finger down the Troll, and that's the end of his life. Earth Spike on the Flying Zebra. Flying Zebra down. Buyback from Shredder, but the Ancient has already fallen, and that is going to make it official.
Alright, so it's going to make it a 1-1 series right now. TC fighting back after a very slow game. A lot of farming going on, but doesn't really matter how you win as long as you actually come away with the victory. The Blink Doom, even though it came into a lot of Lincoln Spheres over the course of the game, that last one, that's exactly what you need to do. Kill off Faceless Void with it, and that's going to lead to the win.
We're going to game 3 here in this series, and unfortunately that means we are going to be missing game 1 of the Boreal versus the Business Gaming series, but don't worry, we will have game 2, and if 3 is there, up on this channel, but hopefully it won't be too long. Either way, let's see who's going to be able to close out this semi-final of the Division 1-2 playoffs.